felt attracted to the cold water. As soon as I went in, I knew this is a doorway into the depth that made me able to connect with my soul. God has provided us with all the tools to bring back holiness when we are broken. The life force, the omnipresent, the ephemeral. When you breathe it in, then you will become that. You become one with it all. And then we become the masters over our brain functioning, which is the seat of the unlimited power of the mind. And that is related with the unlimited power of our soul. The breath is the way. Through the breathing, we create a different access into our brain, into our central nervous system, towards all the body parts within us, to expand our consciousness. And once you do this, you will bless your soul. We all have the right to know what is our soul, how to master our mind, and how to master our emotions, because it comes all from the soul. And until we cannot master our mind and our emotions, how can we serve our soul? So I went on a search, and I found ultimately all the existent disciplines falling too short. Too much blah blah, too much akakadabra, too much confusion, too complicated. Couldn't understand. Is when I found my head spinning. When I was 17, I felt attracted to the cold water. Why, I didn't know at that time. But I went in, and as soon as I went in, I knew this is it. This is opening me up to that deeper sense of my being, and being able not only to stay in very extreme cold environment, hostile, and staying tranquil. At that moment, I knew this is a doorway into the depth, because it opened up right there without my thinking brain being involved. And since then, I've been doing this for every day, in every winter in the Netherlands. And at a certain moment, when you get out of the box into extreme cold, into extreme forceful impact, you learn different ways how to control what is causing stress in our bodies and the mind. It made me able to have all the energy and all the power and all the access into a deeper physiology that made me able to connect with that pure principle of nature of ours, to connect with my soul. And because it is not words, it's a feeling, it's a power, it's an unconditional love. That's why I went on doing it in spite of all the people telling me I was crazy. I should not do that. It is freezing cold. Why would you do this? This man is idiotic. Stay away from him and all that. And that took me 25 years in this secluded kind of discipline, because I felt just bloody great every time doing it. And it's like love. If you love somebody, you know, Romeo and Juliet, you cannot not go to each other. If you find your path to your soul through the power of love, of that what makes you feel powerful, amazing, significant in a what is life every day, unconditionally, then very soon you become a secluded hermit, like a yogi, like somebody who is practicing because he solely is in a relationship with God himself. And God himself is not a scripture. God himself is right over here and now. It's omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotency. It's all here and now. And if you want to experience it, you have the right to do so. It's all there. But you have to go out of the basket. You have to go out of your conditioning, out of the way you thought everything goes. Because it doesn't relate to your thinking, it relates to a deep being, power of purpose, the life itself, unconditional love flowing through you. This is also the ultimate of meditation is observing and becoming one with oneness, with the omnipresence, with the here and now. Then you become omnipotent. Then you will know the omniscience to know your soul. That was my soul search, and I haven't stopped ever since. First, I had to build myself to be able to serve others. That's the
Wim,
way I went, Amrit.
Wim, the three pillars of your philosophy are happy, healthy, strong. Why do you think we're so alienated from these in modern 21st century living when at face value it seems that in society everything is trying to facilitate these outcomes, but it only seems to actually do so on the surface level?
Yes, look at society. We can go to the moon. We can have technology amazing. We can have these screens. I can talk to you right now through a device. It's quite amazing what we all got. But how about bringing happiness instead of depression? How about curing cancer instead of being part of a lottery? So many people get cancer or any other disease for that. And how about having all the energy and purpose in the life, but wherein people are unconditionally happy, strong, and healthy? Those are the characteristics of our soul. And we don't abide by the soul, we abide by a system. And the system doesn't care about the soul, it cares about bridges, towers, roads, bitumen, cars, brutto national product, making money and causing conflicts with neighboring countries or neighboring continents and call it war. Why? Because they are jeopardizing our interests and all. Man, we are families all. We are puppies and mummies all. And we should be able to guarantee prosperity to our children. That is happiness, strength, and health for the remainders of their life to pass it on to their children. And in that way, without any cost, without any finances, we will create a paradise. And that is done through changing consciousness, awareness. And what I do is bring natural tools to humanity to help people reach to that level of autonomy and control within, where they are able to control the autonomic nervous system, to the autonomous processes in the brain. All that we are able to control. And since recently, it is now known in the literature that we have control over the autonomic levels, the parasympathetic, the nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system, to the autonomic level. So when something is out of balance, we can bring ourselves back into balance. And that is not a guarantee in the nowadays systemized society. People still get depressed, sick, energy loss, without purpose, and all. And it's because going into a money making system that doesn't necessarily bring our happiness, strength, and health. And I think it is time to bring the tools to guarantee happiness, which is based on dopamine, serotonin, the hormonal system. And we are showing this in science. We are showing the immune system, health, to control the immune system so much better. That is health. And then we got strength, the energy, the purpose of life itself is life itself, unconditionally. We bring people back to the life force. Through what? To something that costs nothing and is everywhere. And with that comes the consciousness. If you follow the everywhere, which is the air, the life force, the omnipresence, the ephemeral, when you breathe it in, then you will become that instead of staying circling like a buzzard in the head. You become one with it all. And that is the aim. That is bringing back the soul to Mother Nature where it belongs. And that's what I bring in the world. You know, a happy man doesn't go to war. A happy man is not into greed. It's not necessary. Why should you shoot somebody when you are happy and when you are without greed? Because happiness is self-fulfillment. We are lost and alienated from that power, which should be the right and guaranteed for every person in this world. And until, Amrit, until that is not happening, I keep on. I have the strength and the power, conviction, faith of my soul, and it's aside me. It's everywhere, and all the time when I go on stage, I'm without any preparation, because I want to reach the hearts of the people, their energy coming through, coming back through words and making common sense. That's all what I do. It is, and I tell them I must be a good salesman because I sell air and cold. What is this? It's a joke, guys. So the whole money system is a joke. But you know what is serious? To bring happiness and strength to your friends, to your family, to your children. Let's make this world a paradise where we have the autonomy within. No longer governed by the government, but learning to govern oneself. It's all there.
Because you've put a lot of work into not just only philosophical espousing this, but actually like backing up a lot of rigorous science. Prior to our episode, your team sent through a lot of peer-reviewed studies that I read through, and scientifically they're very rigorous. Nothing, I mean, nothing short of remarkable, some of the things, and I'm sure some of these feats that you've achieved were deemed impossible before they actually happened. In fact,
Exactly.
do we want to start with what happened in Michigan the first time you conducted a study, like the brain over the body study, where they were testing the positive
Brain
and
over
negative
study,
aspects
a brain
of.
over body study,
Mm.
psychology over physiology. That's interoception. Interoception is making your is commanding your body to stay, for example, warm when cold water comes on your skin, and my skin doesn't change temperatures because I want so. And this was before autonomous. You can't do something against cold. You can't do something against heat. You can't do something against impact on your body. And I showed just by using the will, just the will, the neurosignaling my body to go into a modus where it is able to neutralize the impact on the body. And this was unknown. Imagine diseases or anything that makes you feel out of balance. And then your emotion, your feeling is saying, oh, you become sick, but you can't do anything. And now we found a way to, with the neural signaling, the will, to bring back the balance, to bring down the inflammation, to bring down the cold, and make the cold, annihilate the cold in the body. This was the Michigan study, and they are kept on going because they thought, but you are the only person who is able to do this. No, I was the first person. Then I said, anybody can do this. So then I taught them how to do it. I gave them a protocol, and then they started to do it with novices, people who had never done what I have done. And they could do the same. And suddenly they found new neurological networks inside the body, thought of impossible for humans to control. And now they found the pathway in the brain. And that pathway is able to ameliorate mental disorders anytime. And that is what they found in Michigan. And now they are trying with the NIH, the National Institute of Health, to get a big study funded with fMRIs, brain scans, blood samples, the whole thing, because they found the pathway and they want to replicate the studies so the world is able to implement it into mainstream psychiatry all over the world. We have control over our mood. We have control over our emotion. We have control when we are depressed to bring the pressure back. That control, that pathway is what they found in Michigan. And they worded in scientific papers as such. Now we have the compelling evidence of the key components of the autonomous processes in the brain related to mood regulation. And mood is emotion. And mood is emotion, and emotion it is the expression of our soul. When emotion is great and beautiful, all is okay. But when emotion is out of control and we get suppressed depression, we cannot get out of there because we don't know that pathway. And now we found the keys. They in Michigan, that is Professor Vaibhav Divakar and Professor Otto Music, they have found a pathway that regulates the mood to come and get back into balance. And that is amazing for all the people who live in darkness.
Hey there, inspired souls. Wanted to take a moment to thank all of you that are subscribed to this channel. Thank you so much for your incredible love and support. Everything you see around here is powered and empowered by your subscription to the channel. To all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment. As I'm saying the word subscribe, the subscribe button below is lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Please hit that button, hit the bell notification icon. It helps with everything we're doing here, championing love, positivity, and wisdom around the planet. Thank you so much in advance for your support. That study relates to the cannabinoid systems and in the mind, and also the salient system that we have, right? Very fascinating study. You're mentioning people's challenges in the darkness, and I think it'd be remiss to have you on the podcast today and not discuss your own challenges, because a lot of this work for yourself started with the loss of your beloved, right? Like she had her own challenges, and that
Absolutely.
really.
I'm a father of 4 back then with a woman who jumped from 8 stories down. And she was already descending, deteriorating mentally for years. Many times she was not with us. I was raising my 4 kids almost alone most of the time. But she was the love of my life. And then I had no control back then over that. So once it happened, it was a tragedy for me and my children. Let's get out of this deep, broken family and find the warmth, the purpose, life itself of in daily life back again. We did that. We did that. And always has been a hole. And now she is looking over our shoulder. I'm sure she is happy. She's great and okay right now. She's helping us. It's like invisibility doesn't mean that it is not there. It's there. She is there. Is it us? Is it her? Doesn't matter. It works. And she is with us. And but back then I was devastated. I was broken. And the only thing that could help me is to get into the cannabinoid receptors myself without knowing what is a cannabinoid receptor. Because the transmission in the body is also broken when you get a neurological breakdown because your beloved is not there. You're broken. It's the unity has grown inside a body of somebody, and that was me, man and wife, is oneness. They become one. You cannot see it, but you feel it the more. So when she was gone, I was broken, broken. It was not there. The only thing that could bring down the agony every day of missing her, not being there, being broken, was going into icy cold water. Because in icy cold water, you survive. You don't think anymore. It goes deeper than our neurological network is able to perceive. So that was, I got a little door opening when I went into the ice of relief. And that every doing it every day gave me the opening. It cured me. My children made me survive because I had to be daddy and mommy. The warmth had to be there, but the cold water cured me. It brought me back with the power from within, given by Mother Nature, to function well for the rest of my kids. Doesn't make sense if I'm there broken, not being able to serve my kids. The little kids, our love, the product of our love. That nature has provided the people with a power to heal, not to forget, but to heal the trauma. And since then, I've been developing. The breathing is able to process trauma. The cold is able to bring down the doorway in the brain of the trauma. It's to open it up. And then you have a moment of relief. And then the working through the breathing is able to process biochemically that what has been caused. And that biochemical residue called trauma will then be able to go into thin air, literally, by using air into thin air. It's amazing how that works. How simple God has provided us with all the tools to bring back holiness when we are broken.
Can you bring me into the moment where you're standing at the edge of a lake and you're 17, and because you've said this quite a bit, it was intuition that guided you. Did you always have a deep relationship with your intuition? What do you think that was a divine moment? Because I reflect on like the Wim Hof that listened to that inner guidance that told him to jump into the lake. Part of me wonders if you thought you were ever going to come out of the lake, but part of me for even asking that question. But then part of me wonders, there's probably an alternate timeline where Wim didn't jump into the lake and millions of people around the world probably aren't even exposed to the incredible work that, the cold has given you. So, yeah, I mean, do you ever reflect back on that moment and the divine intervention that happened to you in that moment? Can you describe a little bit around what you think happened there?
Yes, of course. I was a thinker since very early in my youth. I believed in something beyond this all. When I was 12, I told my friends, if the world thinks war, depression, cruelty, pollution, sickness is all normal, then I think the world is sick. And I'm going to do something about it. What? I don't know. You know what? I just do it. And there it started. I started to become interested in philosophies, traditions, into disciplines. And from 12 to 17, I've been doing that. It made me go in my head a lot. And it was this Sunday morning that I was out in the park. I felt the attraction to go to the icy water. I looked around, was nobody there. Sunday morning, stripped myself of clothes, and I felt just to go in. Why? I don't know. That's called intuition. Intuition, you follow, you don't know, but you follow it. Because it's a clairvoyant moment with yourself. And it just follows the attracted goal. which you got right there. You see it, you don't know why, but you do it. And that's what I did. And there I found in that moment when I got in, hey, the cold is not cold. The cold is a way to get me into the depth of myself. That what I was reading about and could not understand what they were talking about. Too much roads, too much explanations, too much theses, too much wordings. And where is the feeling? Where is the yeah? No, one moment of practice wins it over thousands of books. Every wise sage will say that. In favor for the real practice, you should actually put this book aside and go into it. But if you really do not understand, I got these words for you. For me, the end of those words was when I was 17, went into the water, and then I found what I was looking for. Without a sense of wording like this is it, I felt it. The connection was there. And I think a lot of millions of people practicing this now, they also feel the same. It's there. It was not cold, what I felt. But don't go into icy water. It's lethal. It's dangerous. No, I felt it as a benign force, power, helping me where I could not help myself. And that was the intuitive step I took. And since then, I always followed my intuition. I always followed my intuition that led me into so many challenges. And it always, I ended up winning in that or attaining the goal without problems. Just feel from within. Think from within. Suddenly you got an idea. Hey, in the pursuit of your soul, you will get ideas, epiphanies. These epiphanies come and, yeah, why not? And then you start to grow to attaining that goal. Doesn't matter what it is. For everybody, it's different. But the mechanisms are the same. It is in the end what in Michigan they find that new pathway in the brain is called interoception, top down regulated interoception. And it was never known in psychiatry that you can top down with your will command the interoceptive focus to command the body to do what you need to do, to overcome the obstacle that is in front of you. You will be able to command your body to have that power to adapt to that obstacle and be just stronger to get over it for attaining the road of the soul. It is all there. Now it is science, but back then I did not understand, but I felt it. I was a searcher. And this is what I say to everybody who starts searching. Every searcher will become a finder. Just start. Yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
And one of the key things in there is that explains how you came to cold, but then how did you come to breath? Because there's three pillars, right? There's the power of the mind, there's the cold, and then there's also the breath. This is the Wim Hof method. How did you come to the breath?
Yes. The breath. When I went into the cold water, I felt great. So the other day you come back. Once you come back, you find that you are alone in the water. And suddenly there. And you find that if you breathe tranquil, deeper in, consciously, deeper in and out, you are able to stay longer in the icy water. That means that at a certain moment you get this epiphany. It's because it makes my body stronger. The oxygen, the more I breathe than I need, makes my body stronger to defy the stress of the icy water. And I found it out by doing it. So then at a certain moment, I thought, okay, if that is with cold water that way, then that means that if I do this breathing apart of the cold, then I'm able to make my body stronger, to go into the depth. I started to do it at home, and there I saw, they in India they talk about in yoga about chakras and all the kundalini. There I saw all the time, every morning, all these vibrant knots of neurological, hormonal knots in the body, fully on, fully on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, boom, wow, all the time. That was the breathing. And of course, I went on for years doing that until I was fully bored with it. Because in the end, we are not here for our own realization. We are here to take care of our families. I could, with all that power, I could not help my wife back then. So how much is that power? So that drew me totally back in my practice, in my beliefs. My beliefs were almost broken because I lost my wife. I lost the love of my life. I had to be there for the kids and all. So there I started intuitively to go more into the icy water and stop the agony, survive and grow. And newly I grew, and then I found myself with the power to heal myself of this agony. And then I came to the conclusion, hey, if I can help myself, I can help others too. And I've seen a lot of agony. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of anguish and anxiety. And all the time I helped them with very simple words, with a conviction based on real experience. And that made me able to learn from other people's embedment how to deal with trauma, with sickness. Asthma came in, Crohn's disease came in, arthritis came in, all these things. And you see, embedment all the time. So you're only growing. If you are not stopped, you will grow on and on and on, and you become bigger. And at a certain moment, I came in contact with the television and with the scientists, and they took me on. And then I showed in my first big physiological experiment for 80 minutes in the ice a complete different physiological outcome than they expected or understood in medical science. And then they injected me with a bacteria, E. coli bacteria, and that made 16,000 people sick. And now 16,000 and number one, 16,001 is not sick. And then they looked inside my blood. And then they saw you suppress the inflammatory markers. And inflammation is the cause and effect of every disease in the world. And now we found a way to bring it down. How? Through breathing. Profound breathing. I learned it in the cold to make my body stronger from within. Then I separated outside in my room. I saw all the chakras, all the mystical lights. Then I lost my woman. Then I started to heal the people because I could heal myself. And from there, I met the scientists. And then they put me in a cylinder for 80 minutes. They took the blood out here 36 times. And then they exposed that blood to bacteria. And normally you have an aggressive reaction of the immune cells. In my case, nothing. And how come? Because my body from the inside, encased in the ice, had become so strong that it did not change temperature. They saw my core body temperature not changed in 80 minutes immersion in the ice. That means my body is strong from within. How? Through breathing. Breathing and believing. And that's it. This is now what I show the whole wide world. And there's so many people getting rid of their depression, of their ameliorates, their mental disorders, or their chronic diseases. So many miracles. And I'm not doing anything. I just put it on online. And here, look, doesn't cost anything. Here it is. Get alive with the life force. Breathing.
Right now, you're probably successful on paper, but deep down inside, something feels a little off. You've hit goals, you've built the career, you've achieved things that you never ever thought were imaginable at some point, but underneath all of that, that deeper sense of meaning and purpose feels just out of reach. Potentially you're looking for the next thing just so that it will fill that void, but it never quite does. Does that sound familiar? I know exactly what that's like because I've been there, and if you're watching this, I'm guessing you have too. See, what I've found through my mentoring is that most high achievers hit a point where they wonder, is this all there is? You've worked hard, you've done the right things, but inside there's a pull, a feeling that ultimately you were made for something more. The issue is that most people, they go about ignoring this. They burn themselves out chasing more external goals, or worse, they stay stuck in the cycle of just overthinking and inaction, not really getting any traction. But hey, there is another way. A path that realigns your work with your deepest sense of purpose while keeping the financial success you've built and then some. It's called Evolve Mentoring, a place where ambitious, heart-driven professionals like yourself come together to break through confusion, find clarity, and ultimately practically set up entrepreneurial ventures that help them create a life that feels as good on the inside as it does on the outside. What makes Evolve different is that it's not just going to be here to help you picture and map out what it is that you want to do in life. Yeah, we will do that. We'll make sure that the vision that you build out is underpinned by your values, so it's your authentic direction that's unique to you, not what someone else mapped out. You're not living someone else's dreams. Then we go deeper and we actually help navigate through the shadow work, the blocks, the mental blocks. We install the belief systems and the mindset that you need to help you get unstuck and move forward into that direction. And the fun part is we don't stop there. We go even deeper, help you build out your heart-centered business, or pivot your career into something that is more aligned with your heart's offering, or elevate your leadership into a more conscious form. And sometimes it's a combination of all of those. So this is your spirituality grounded and integrated into your offering and the walk that you walk on this life consciously. I've worked with people just like you, successful professionals, high achievers, people who were previously feeling stuck only to unlock whole new levels of clarity, vision, direction, purpose, and also the gumption of actual structures in their life that have helped revolutionize their life and the way they show up abundantly in this world aligned. If this is resonating with you even just a little bit, here's what to do next. Click the link below at the top of the description of this video, apply for mentoring, and let's have a real conversation about your next steps. I invite you to stop wondering about what if and what then and wondering if will I ever. Now's the time to start creating a life that actually feels aligned. The next chapter of your life starts now. So inspired for you. Click the link. Let's go. And honestly, I can't wait to see you on the inside at Evolve and what you create in your life. Click the link, apply now, and I'll see you on the inside. I love that. I'm going to talk to you more about life force shortly, but it's beautiful to hear that it was basically part of me is getting can't help but look at it like the Hindu deity of coldness, but the coldness brought you to the breath and the breathing brought you to the power of the mind. And it's beautiful to watch how that journey happened. And yet in the E. coli example that they injected you with it, they then proceeded to not only you went and actually taught other people your method, and they found they did a very 12 people were the control subjects, and then you had 18 people that were actually subjected to E. coli as well. And they had a similar response to you after having gone through the training that you afforded them. It was in Poland, right?
Exactly. And there the world should have wakened up. But the world loves dependency in people instead of independency. the world just doesn't want strong people who are independent and autonomous. For that, we need alternative media like this to bring it out. Now I'm getting into the science, and very soon we are publishing in Nature again with the world biggest study with the Wim Hof method, and that will shift. That will shift our understanding how to battle stress effectively, more than meditation and mindfulness is able to do. So the E. coli bacteria, I showed it with the whole group. And back then, in 2014, it came out in the National Academy Proceedings of National, what is it? One of the biggest papers, scientific papers of the PNAS, the PNAS paper, which is one of the biggest scientific papers in the world. And Nature took it even over. So it got published. But why are the people not implemented into schools? Because it regulates the emotion, it battles the stress so effectively, and it doesn't cost anything. That is what they should do with the shootings in America, in the US. It's only because people, these kids, they lose their identity in a competitive society. And fully stressing them up in a schooling system they have no talent for. And everybody is different, but everybody is squeezed into the same system. That causes stress, and too much stress will take away your identity. And then you will shoot somebody because you don't know who you are anymore. You hear them killing their papi and their mommy, and then they go kill their siblings, and then they go to school and they kill. It's crazy. And nobody seems to understand that breathing is a deep breathing, exercising in school will make children able to regulate their mood so much better they will become resilient to stress, equanimity, and their mental awareness will go up. It is a win for all. But why is it that they don't take it up? Because we have a system that is made to make money, a system that needs dependency in people to manipulate them. Not necessarily for the soul, for the goodness, for the health, the happiness, and the strength, but to make a healthy economy, greed, and war, to defend the interests. Now I say, let's go for unconditional love. Win that war. Bring peace within. And that is done through the breathing, through the cold. They are great tools given by nature to regulate all our systems inside our body and mind. It's simply there. So that is what I see is the future. The future will, you will see, people like Kennedy, they also do ice bathing. And friends of mine are friends with him. They know about me. It's coming. We will be in power just to do the good. Because we are not built here to live in a society where you can get depressed and sick and this. Because when the shit hits the fan, nobody knows what to do and shit happens. No, we are able to guarantee ourselves to have a much deeper self-control in every human being. If we only follow some natural, scientifically endorsed natural tools, and with that are able to defy or the daily stress we are living in. And the stress will only get more. Inflation will get up more. The pressure toward us gets more. The new generation will have to solve that all. They understand. Wim Hof is a good guy, and he's got some natural things, and he is real because he comes from the cold and from breathing outside, where in nature, into the extremes, where there is no fear but soul. all the way.
I do want to talk more about the collective trauma and the individual trauma, but I wanted to ask you, do you ever look back on your own life and just sort of think about, because, there's a lot of stories now about how children are birthed and how formative even just the birth process is. And I think I became more aware of this. I know you've got many kids. I've got two, and started watching people's birth stories and how formative they can be for their journey. And feeling into your birth story, like, I think you've had quite the unique story. You were born basically purple, umbilical cord around your neck. And I mean,
Yes,
just the irony in some ways that an individual that almost never got to take their first breath is here imparting the import of how important it is to breathe on everybody. Do you ever look at the sort of divine story intervention that, yeah, that sort of spells out? Does it make you think about destiny in some way?
yes. I think I'm absolutely sure, and I talked it over with my mother when I was born, almost too late, suffocated uh, in the cold of the hall. It was my mother invocating. She was a God-fearing, not drinking, not smoking, never ever anything of that. And they were to get me after the firstborn of the twins. I'm an identical twin, and they never knew there was a second. So I was almost suffocated, too long in. And then just before going to the operation room to get me out through a cesarean, my mother pushed me out. She pushed me out with the words, "Oh God, let this child live. I will make him a missionary." With all her fear and all her power of belief, she pushed me out. And later she told me all about this story. I was pushed out purple, because that's the way she called me, little purple pimple Parsi. Pimple Parsi is Dutch for little purple nothing. But there you were. And you know what happens? A mother who is invocating like that, in that despair, for and praying God to make this child live the love, this innocence, that is powerful. That power has ingrained into me. How does it go? Like mRNA technology. It goes into your DNA. It goes so deep, it's like a curse, but then positive. It goes so deep through the love and the despair, the fear at the same time. All that power that made me who I am. I am a missionary. I am a man on a mission. I'm reaching out to millions, hundreds of millions of people now. But I want billions. I want to bring happiness, strength, and health to every person in the world. I thought my mother knows. She never experienced me becoming big in the world. I was always a little bit alienated, secluded, because I was the crazy man, the outsider, going into the cold. Don't mingle with him. Don't identify with him, and all until I found television on my path. And I started to do what physically was not possible. And then I started to do world records, 26 of them. Then I started to enter into scientific experiments. And then I showed what scientifically was considered to be impossible for a human to do, I was doing. And then they entered with the bacteria. And then they found the cannabinoid receptors number one. Then they found me able to control brain parts they thought of. Humans cannot do that. But it's logical. If you never go into the cold, then you will never know the power of the cold, how to deal with stress, how to go into the deeper realms of the physiology. It was back then, it started all with my mother. I respect my mother, I love my mother, and God praise her soul right now, because she is up there looking over us all.
Hey there, inspired soul, lumen being. I'd love to tune in with you. Join in on the conversation with us in the comments below. What are you taking away from today's conversation with Wim? He's covering a lot of ground. This is a way more spiritual side of Wim. Wim is a spiritual teacher, but there's a way more spiritual side of Wim that I've seen online in a long time, or if ever. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you. What are you taking away from Wim's conversation here today? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And Wim said he'd love to be back in the future. So if you have any questions of Wim, please leave them in the comments below, and I'd be honored to ask them on your behalf. Back to Wim in today's episode. Yeah, I mean, it's such an incredible, eye-opening sort of journey to sort of see that, just where you've been and how that's all come together. There's a question that burns within me to ask you, Wim, which is, you've got we carry traumas. I guess maybe the first question in this multi sort of question that I've got, if I can help myself, is we get traumas and they sort of collect in. I'd love to get your insights on how we actually accumulate traumas, but then how come like the relationship between breath and trauma? Because somehow breath is this key that unlocks the trauma so that it can then shift and clear. And that is like, I mean, once you explain it like that, it sort of starts to make sense. But even when you stop to reflect, what is the relationship between breath and trauma? It's not the most intuitive place to naturally start unless someone like Wim Hof tells you so.
Yes. So, the 22nd, I will address the Palestinians. I got a 2-hour Zoom to explain how it is able to relieve the most worst of traumas. How about losing your child? How about losing your child and a leg and the rest of your family? You know, the trauma, pure trauma. We have a trauma happens in a moment. And when it happens, we have not the time to work it out, to process, because we have a physical trauma at that moment, a bomb blast, or a cut, or somebody cutting you, or somebody saying to you, you're divorced, or you have no money anymore, your house is gone, your child is dead. It all causes biochemical storage in our body to be processed later. But we don't know how to process what is stored up called trauma because we are in a too much profane conditioning of our mind and body. So there in that conditioned state of mind and body is not built to take on the trauma because the trauma happens stronger than our conditioned mind and body is able to control. So we have to go out of that conditioned mind and body. And there comes in the breathing. If you breathe more than you need and you manipulate it well, you're able to go past the conditioned mind and body. And then automatically, naturally, it goes into the trauma because it's there stored up to be processed by the person in consciousness. Consciousness is you perceive that what is stored up, and now because the situation is tranquil, you are able to process little by little to let it go. These are neurological images. This is a neurological shock. And as we understand things as images and experiences, it comes out that way. But in this case, when you do the breathing, you are objective. You are no longer part of the experience. You are no longer part of the images related to that accident, to that what caused the trauma. You become the observer. That is our healing power, and that can be ignited through deep breathing. And this is what I see in all my sessions. People resolving traumas, even from lives ago or 40 years ago. And it gets proven more and more in scientific evidence. So it's quite amazing. And so how it relates, breathing, if you go past the conditioned mind and body, you're able to nourish to nourish a deeper neurological network that is apt, connected to process stored up trauma, which is biochemistry. It's like a battery, acidic. It is stored up. You cannot just release it. It's too much. So, a little by little, by breathing deeper, you alkalize the body and you take away the acidity little by little. It gets out, 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 out until it's fully processed. Not forgotten, but it will not bother the person no more. It is worked out. The wrong biochemistry is neutralized. That's the way it
Wi-
works. And you know what, Amrit? It's not complicated. Just it's simple. And that makes it amazing because it is simple.
I was going to invite you to would it be okay to ask you to show us how to approach the breathing here in today's podcast? Would it be possible?
Yeah, of course. Very simple.
Mm,
First of all, take time. If something is bothering you, could
mm,
be any kind of stress,
mm,
and that makes you feel anxious.
mm.
That makes you know something is wrong. You don't
Yep,
know what.
yep.
Then you go and take your time because you want to get rid of it. You want
Mm,
to process it.
mm,
You don't be busy with something else when you need to get processed that what bothers you. So take that moment with yourself. I'm going to lie on bed and I'm going to deal with whatever is going on with me, which I do understand that I'm not living qualitatively life as it should, as I can, as I know. So that's enough. You don't need to understand all what is going on. You just take your time. Your intention is part of the interoception found in Michigan with the professors there to regulate your mood. You make a neural signal to your body. I am here to process my trauma. That's all you need to do. And then you lie on bed, you relax, and you feel your body. Just be with your body. And then be with your breath. Once you get it in, fully in, let it go into your body. It flows everywhere because it changes into the lungs, into the bloodstream, and then it goes everywhere. It goes to any depth. And that make sure you follow with your mind just the breath. Don't try to fill it in with anything else. Then just follow your breath. Your breath is your guide. It will guide you automatically to the trauma, automatically to flow. And wherever it blocks, it will find a way to neutralize the acidity, to go away, to become alkaline, by which the neurology reestablishes the flow. So you go with every breath simply in, fully in, letting go. All in, letting go. Fully in, letting go. All in, and go. Fully in, letting go. It's like a wave. And as it comes and it goes, you go with it. Our cells, the amount of cells, the space within us, time and space will be transcended. If you only follow the breath, you get everywhere. Past your conditioning is where you get. And with that, suddenly the, the, uh, the trauma, the stored up trauma, you will reach it because you are there past your conditioned mind and body, which relates directly to a breathing pattern. Only now you went beyond. And very soon you will find the stored up trauma. You will find that what is bothering you. You know it because you feel it. But you keep on going repetitiously. Fully in, letting go. All in, letting go. Fully in, letting go. 30, 40 times. Then you take them fully in, let it go, and you stop. You stop after the exhalation. What happened is you have been breathing more profound, blowing off the carbon dioxide, which causes the breathing trigger, but is now not needed because carbon dioxide is very much at a low level. So the breathing trigger is not coming for 1 minute, could be 2 minutes, could be 3 minutes without air in the lung. Now the primitive brain, the brainstem, is saying, this man is not breathing, this human is not breathing. We ignite the adrenal axis. And the adrenal axis gets rid of anything that should not be in the body. That's the way we process the trauma, because it should not be in the body. And it doesn't matter where it is, what it is, where it comes from, who you are, whatever color or whatever background or how much money or that. It's all the same for the adrenal axis. And what we do with these breathing techniques, because you're not breathing 1 minute, 2 minutes. That is where you normally die, but not now. This is where you biohack so deeply that the body is able to process the trauma effectively and to guarantee full flow uninterrupted. And we have shown this. This is part of the study in Michigan. And it's going to be a big study where we see top-down regulation and from down-up regulation coming together as a flow. And in the old yogas, the higher levels of yogas, they call it the uninterrupted flow of kundalinis to all the places. And we can direct it with our will. So it's very simple. Yeah. Then after after 30, 40 of these breaths, you're able to be in retention after exhalation for 1 minute, 2 minutes. Then you take a deep breath in, hold it, and you press. You press to your head. This is cerebrospinal fluid, goes into the head and it ignites 100% of your brain activity. 100%. And because you do it willfully, it all opens up to your will. It's amazing. This is all what we saw in brain scans. And it's so simple. So then we do that 15 seconds, fully in, hold it and squeeze it to your head to flourish, to nourish our brain in all parts until you reach even and activate the corona radiata, the crown chakra. Anybody can do that, not in 20 years of yogic training, no, in half hour. And then you start over again, and you will see that doing that like 4 rounds, you will be able to be without air in the lungs for, say, 3 minutes. Easy. Without air in the lungs. That means you are biohacking in the respiratory mechanisms related in the brain scans. And there we find the endocannabinoid system. And there we find the afferent and the efferent neural flow in the pons of the cerebellum. And this is not me talking, these are neuroscientists. They see my brain and they see this is the future, where people have suddenly access into the brain, not 16% consciously, but 100. 100. Imagine 100%. And why? A happy man doesn't go to war. A happy man is not into greed. But that's all we need to be happy, strong, and healthy. That's love. And that love I want to give to anybody. That love needs to be spread. For that love, I get your platform to talk with you, common sense, to bring something holy, to make people holy again in their feeling. Because everybody has a right to be holy and have a great life.
Wim, it was actually the first time I did the Wim Hof method, and ever since, like subsequently practicing this for over many years now, there was also this thing that happened for me. I never really understood how much I was always wound up in my sympathetic nervous system until I would engage in the Wim Hof method, and then certain like markers in my body, and for me, it's actually in my groin. Like the groin would literally just like I get these flutters, and it literally just starts to ease off. Every single time, it's the same neurological response, and I can just sort of see, physiological response, and I can see, oh, I'm finally back in my sympathetic, like parasympathetic. And it's such a cool thing to happen every time because I'm like, oh yeah, there we go. Like like there's like a real thing that like not saying that it doesn't not like a real thing doesn't normally happen, but for me it's very palpable when those shifts happen. I also wanted to take a moment to just go back a little bit and just also talk about the sympathetic and parasympathetic because I think so many people are walking around jacked and holding and they don't even know until they let go. Because I was definitely in that camp until I started to let go using some of the processes that you've shared with us just then.
Yes. The vagus nerve, part of the parasympathetic nervous system, was considered to be not controlled by humans. And now I showed it already in 2007 in New York, how to enter into the parasympathetic nervous system through the vagus nerve. Now we have shown that the vagus nerve is part of the autonomic nervous system, part of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system level. And through the breathing, we showed in the endotoxin, the E. coli bacteria experiments and studies, how to activate the sympathetic and parasympathetic while being injected with a E. coli, very stressful, to bring down inflammation. Inflammation is one, anxiety is another. Too much sympathetic flow makes us not able to regenerate our energy. But if we consciously go through the breathing into a deeper level, suddenly we are connected to the parasympathetic. And under deep stress, when I go into the icy water, it takes sympathetic nervous system will be on like burning for 1.5 minutes. And then suddenly parasympathetic nervous system takes over and I can stay for hours into the ice. That is a power. People should not think that sympathetic is the power. No, the power is in the parasympathetic. If you learn to control the parasympathetic, you can enter into so much stress and maintain absolute coolness of body and mind. And how does it work? If we go into the cold, then you learn automatically to resist going out. You maintain the stress until suddenly it falls away. We never wait until it falls away. We are always anxious and then get out. But if we stay in the cold, then suddenly we are able to dive into the deep. Then the body is able to do what the body is able to do, is to find a way to neutralize the impact. And that is in any stressful situation, and it's learned by going into the cold. That is one. Two is the breathing. If you do this controlled breathing we just did, if you do this 4 rounds, imagine what you do if you would blow out right now. How long would you be able to stay without breathing? Until the stress comes. is it 30 seconds? You know?
Yeah.
But we make it 3 minutes without feeling stress. That means you are at that moment in absolute stress, but your parasympathetic nervous system is on. And as it is on, you maintain calmness, serenity, and have a sense of observing power over that stress. Makes you very confident and trustful over your own capacities in your own body. This is how we learn to go on, say, speeches or difficult tasks or big football matches or fighting matches or anything. I teach these people, top sporters, and they tell me, I never felt so tranquil before a big match. And it's so simple. And that is how we preserve the energy instead of losing it in our anxiety. And when the match then starts, we have a full amount and charge of our energy, and we can direct it, focus, boom, out there. Nothing lost. It's amazing. And it is a principle. It's not about top sport. It's a natural principle. We have the power if we only go through a little bit hormesis or self-inflicted stressful exercise. And that is the cold. And that is the breathing. The way we just did it, that makes you able to entertain and exercise the stress mechanisms in the body to activate the parasympathetic, which is stronger than the sympathetic. Imagine for people who are going to die. When they die, they have so much anxiety over that. Imagine if you have a power that is stronger than that anxiety, then the death is able, because we are souls, unbreakable and everlasting. It is nothing more than biology. But are we alienated or are we connected? And that connection we are quite able to provide. It is not complicated, but you got to do it. Cold and breathing, the way I'm teaching, it comes from experience, not from books. Now it gets into the books. Now I'm doing rigorous science all the time. I'm welcoming, inviting, forcing science to come in and to show this for the benefit of humanity. Because it is simple, doesn't cost anything, and it's there. And in this time of transition, people want to find autonomy. We can provide you with autonomy over the parasympathetic power that it overrules any stressful situation. That's our soul.
Yeah, I think it's extremely profound, especially when considering, some religious, like Tibetan Buddhism. One of the first lessons you learn is actually on breath. You go to the ashram or the monastery, and they teach you about the breath. Is like the first lesson. And I remember, you having chats with. You ask a young adept, and you say, "Hey, first class breath," and they'll give you something as profound in return as, it's the first thing you come into this world with, and it's the last thing you leave the world with. It's called your last breath, taking your first breath. It's your most intimate, lifelong companion, and it gives you that life force. I'd love to hear more about the life force. And yet, no one's really taking a moment or a beat to sort of, I don't want to say that we need to be educated to breathe, but in some ways, we probably do. There's the sacredness of it, the spiritual component to it, the starting and the stopping of this entire experience that we call reality, but then also just the profundity of what it actually means to breathe well through and in life.
Yes. So what it takes is simply the conviction that we are here to realize our soul, to overcome genetical disorders, To overcome, we are in the wheel of life. We get the breath and we leave the breath behind. The soul goes on. The soul came in, took the breath, and the soul will say goodbye with the breath. The soul keeps on. And what did you do with that life force? We are able to bring peace in any genetical disorder we got from generations. This, we develop a expanding consciousness. And as I'm showing this in brain scans, it's quite unbelievable. I did this with Professor Charlie Tilio. I showed how to be like 9,500 brain scans. The bandwidth of that was understanding more or less the brain activity of people in an fMRI. And then I took the same fMRI. I was sort of in the bandwidth of everybody. And then half hour later, I did one again, just to show that I can be completely out of there as well. And he said, this is not possible because it's never been shown. And then I did, a half hour later, I showed it him, and he was flabbergasted. He said, you showed how to go into the subcortical higher functioning of the brain. And this has not been shown to be done consciously. This can only be done by magnetic impulses, inducing in brain areas to modify deregulated brain areas. But you are doing it consciously. You are going into these brain areas nobody thought in neuroscience are able to enter into. And I say we all can. And that makes me able to show everybody through the breathing to create a different neurology, a different access into our brain, into our central nervous system, toward all the body parts within us, to expand our consciousness. Because how can you expand your consciousness if you can't get into your own brain? If you're limited, if you're narrowed. We are narrowed in our society to think only the way we make money, bridges, go to the moon, go to a discotheque, go have sex, and go make money, and have a job and a career and die. I say no. I want to expand my consciousness. I want to expand my brain activity. I want to show that the brain we can master for 100%. We can control it 100%. Doesn't mean it's on all the time. But in the pursuit of my soul, I can use my brain in any part I need at any moment when I need to be here or there or there or there or there. Doesn't matter. Everywhere. And that's what I showed. And so this was like unknown. And you know Nelson Mandela? He said, I'm the master of my mind and the captain of my soul. This is what I bring through brain scans. I show the way. The breath is the way. Life force is the way. The soul is there to use the breath, to go everywhere, to favorize the pH levels, cerebral activity, and then suddenly the neural activity, the subtlety of your neural activity, the prefrontal cortex is able to go into any spot of the brain. That is the subtle difference that makes all the difference. And it's done by the right way of breathing. We are doing the studies, but it takes time. And a system that is based on money and dependency on people who do not have autonomy wouldn't let people have autonomy. That's simple. So that's my battle. And I'm winning because I honor my mother.
Wim, and it's profound to see what's possible for yourself because obviously you're trying to lead a charge by example, but it's also not just for you. There was one of the anecdotal stories we came across in research for this podcast was a 76-year-old man that you helped. Well, he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in just 30 hours, 31 hours or something.
76 years old, yes.
Can you tell us the story? This
France.
is
He
crazy.
was
Yeah.
suffering from Lyme's disease. He never climbed a mountain before. 76 years old. And he was going to do it in shorts. And it's really cold up there. It's blasting cold. And what do you need with cold? Oxygen. But there is less than half the oxygen around there. And that mountain normally is done between 5 and 9 days, fully dressed. And he did it in 31 hours. So that is motivation. That is the power of your mind. If you put your power of your mind, if you put your mind to it, and don't say you cannot, but follow your gut, then suddenly your mind is within your service. It is a servant. And then suddenly it's able to command the body to do things we thought impossible. And this is what we showed with climbing the Kilimanjaro with people with arthritis and with Crohn's disease and cancer and with asthma. And they did it in record times. That is the power of your mind. That principle, if you use the mind and don't say you cannot, you get eventually out of the conditioning. And you will find a power much greater than we have learned to control. And suddenly you're able to do things impossible, what we call impossible. It's amazing how that works. And it's not about climbing a mountain or anything, but it's about climbing the mountain called the soul. Anything between you and your soul, you should be able to overcome. And that is more than we think.
Hey there, Inspired Soul. One of the things Wim's talking about at the moment is inflammation. And one of the things that I have found incredibly powerful to help me at home with inflammation is grounding. Now, sometimes you don't get to get out and stick your feet in the bare earth as much as you'd like to. And for that, we've had Clint Ober on the podcast before, sharing his wisdom around grounding. And what you can do is get some products for your home, for your house, which actually help you ground. Now, we've partnered with earthing.com to get you a discount code. If you use the word INSPIRE, you get 10% off absolutely everything that they have to offer. My favorite is the mat that you put on your bed and plug into your wall socket and outlet. You're grounding all night as you sleep, and all that electrical inflammation charge that you build up throughout the day actually goes back into the earth. For you to be able to access those grounding products, again, earthing.com. I'll put a link in the description below for you guys to make your way there. And again, don't forget to insert the code INSPIRE for 10% off. Wim, I'd like to officially now go there because it seems like what you're sharing is there's this dynamic between breathing and its priceability in the market, and all the benefits that it espouses, and yet its uptake. And do you find sometimes your work may not be, I don't want to use the word suppressed, but may not be as readily welcomed because there isn't a taxable component to the work that's attached to it?
Oh, yes, of course. I will find all the enemies against something that jeopardizes the status quo. People are in power wherever they are right now in the establishment. If it is serving the truth, yes or no, it is reality. So if somebody comes and he is able to change the paradigm, it changes the power structure. then they will find any means to bring me down. But I'm a good man, and I believe in the good, and I will stay good. And if they take anything and everything from me, I did my work. I did my mission. I abided by the words of my mother. I'm there. That's the only thing I got to do. And so in the future, and I got a lot of opposition as well, and people copying and saying it's this and or ridiculing. But there's also hundreds and millions of people have been taking it up, and I'm determined to reach to billions of people and change their lives. So always a couple of rotten apples in the basket, but who cares? They will filter out themselves in the matter of the time. Because I got a profound faith. And that profound faith is more than a profane faith that thinks in hedonistic ways how to bring down a man who is trying to do good. For what? And for what reasons? I want to know. It doesn't matter to me. In the end, I sleep well. My soul sleeps well. And I listen to my soul, and I keep listening to my soul. I see so many moments in the day where people see the love, see the power, and the understanding of what I do. Yeah, I'm just getting high on my own supply all the time. I'm like an addict to that. And I love the work I'm doing. I just love it. And today I had speeches with, I went to a nursery of plants and all. 2.5 hours later, I was like ranting about the world and how to change it with those people there. They gave me water. Man, it's all spontaneous. I even forgot about this podcast. So much I believe in what I do out there and doing it. And now I'm doing it again. And it's always unprepared. But you're a man who's got his faith in what he is doing is ready anytime. And he will not lose his faith because it started within him deeply and it will never go away because it's deeply there. When all the wind and all the filth has gone down, I'm still there from the depth.
Well, there's a big hearkening there to the whole process of Hormesis as well, right? Because it seems like even outside of cold therapy, because you've said this almost metaphorically a couple of times as well, is if you don't expose yourself to the cold kind of finds you,
Yes,
right? And so
yes,
there's that, but then also you have this relationship where with you eat like a meal a day, so there's this element of fasting and just consistently finding edges for yourself to come up against. And there seems to be a wisdom in there based on the simple principles of hormesis, in that if you don't strengthen yourself and you let yourself get too soft, life gets hard. But if you keep yourself slightly challenged, slightly, you build certain muscles, certain strengths, life is easier. Can you expand upon that, please?
yes. Hormesis is the principle. Hormesis, self-inflicted acute stressful exercise. I am not a bodybuilder, but I'm fucking strong. Every day I
Wim
touch
Hof,
the depth
spirit,
of myself.
spirit
I
builder.
go to a painful level. Yeah, it's what it is. I train the best fighters of the world. They come to me and I can show exercising. I'm not a model fighter. What I do is going into the depth of myself. I learn to beat myself, to become the best of myself, to go to my pain and to amplify, to expand that frontier within me. And with that, I showed how to enter into the endocannabinoid system. And this is the depth of the brain. The absolute depth of the brain is the endocannabinoid system. Those are the cannabinoids and the opioids. Opioids relates to pain. And apparently we have a big problem in society, especially in the US, with opioids, opioid crisis. They should do this because then you enter not only into the deepest part of the brain and learn to control the opioids when you have pain, you learn to trust your body again. So we showed this, what happens if you go to the deepest part of your brain
Hmm.
and you do this consciously. This is what you learn when you go into an ice bath. You learn to go and tranquilize yourself in deep stress until the opioids are starting up. And because you are doing it consciously, you create a neurological pathway. And that neurological pathway can be controlled, learned, controlled, and intensify as much as you need. And I found out I can stand pain more than anything. It's all right. I can die without feeling the pain. I've seen it. Doesn't matter. It's not about that. The thing is, you learn consciously to neurologically connect with the deepest part of your brain, which is the endocannabinoid system called periaqueductal gray hemisphere, the place of the opioids and the cannabinoids. It's there. And tell me, Amrit, when you are able to go to the deepest of your brain consciously, because you created that neurological pathway, then where else can we not go? Suddenly the brain becomes a servant. And then we become the masters over our brain functioning, which is the seat of the mind. And in the mind, we call it the unlimited power of the mind. And that is related, once again, with the unlimited power of our soul, which is indestructible and everlasting. So when we equalize one with the other, then suddenly we become aware with our purpose, and that is our soul, to bring good, happiness, strength, and health through the biggest force in the universe, that is love. And that love will make you able to heal everybody around you, to heal your kin, to maintain happiness, health, and strength. You just give it all, and then all is able to come to you. It's a cycle. First, you learn the cycle within, the parasympathetics, the vagus nerve, the calming, the afferent, and the afferent and the efferent neurological flow to control. That's flow. And then once you have that, you start to do it with your surroundings. Your energy gets bigger. It's natural, it's biology, it's physics. And that is only done if we master our brain. If our brain is not mastered, how can it serve? It cannot.
Wim, do you think ancient yogis, monks, and maybe even shamans kind of knew what you're proving now scientifically? Are we actually rediscovering lost human abilities through your work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is one. But our minds nowadays are so much more neurologically occupied in our brains and functioning. It is now to apply these old techniques with the modern day brain activity. If we can master, bring peace now in our brains, that is absolutely different than 500 years ago. Our brain activity has multiplied so much more. There is so much more now than, say, 50 years ago. And we can show that in brain scans. So all this brain activity and the technology of nowadays has so much advanced more. Now it is time to apply these old techniques who have been always around. and that is the breath, and that is the cold. They will be able to give you that deep control insight by which suddenly the brain activity becomes your servant. Wouldn't that be great? It's happening.
Wim, you're a man on a mission. That much is clear. Talking about purpose, though, and health in the same sort of dialogue and conversation, what is the dynamic between purpose and health? Can you describe that? Because there seems to be this element of flow between health and purpose, but I'd love to get your insights on why, because you mentioned the soul's journey. Why is it so important to be on purpose to activate health? Or is it maybe I'm just drawing conclusions that aren't there?
Yes, health, happiness, health, and strength. Those are the characteristics of a sane soul. That's what I wish my children to feel. I don't need to be dogmatic about it. I just need to maintain happiness, strength, and health. There's no religion. Just be divine. And with the divinity comes automatically why you are here. Undisturbed by sickness, by weakness, and or sadness, you will understand there is a deeper meaning in life. It's only able to grow out of these qualities to full-blown realization. And we are equipped to expand our consciousness therein. Because maintaining happiness, health, and strength takes quite a brain activity within control. That is quite one. But then comes the expanding the consciousness. And that is a new area. And that has got to do the purpose of us to expand our consciousness is to liberate all the spirits of our genetical ancestry. They are captivated. They want to widen, to expand. And it happens automatically. You will feel you're not able only to expand yourself, and with that, your genetical ancestry, but also others. And once you do that, you will bless your soul. And that is an amazing journey. That's why I have faith every day. That's why I give it all I got every day. Because it is absolutely fucking worthwhile to be in divinity, in service of divinity every day. I make love to the universe every day. And I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid not to live. And there we are. And when my time comes, I just live on, because I'll be my soul, one with my soul.
Inspired Soul. Wim talks a lot in this episode about your soul and its path and its journey, and I'm conscious not everybody has that clearly mapped out. One of the tools that's really helpful to get this really clear in your life is a Gene Keys hologenetic profile. Many of you have heard about human design, and hopefully by now you've heard about the Gene Keys as well. You can go, there's a link below. We've partnered with the Gene Keys to help you get your free hologenetic profile. And if you go get your profile, it'll help you map out your relationships in life, also your purpose. And also, if you've got a sacred offering like a branding or a business, it helps you get clear on the energy and the frequency of just the journey that you're going through on life. My favorite thing to do is actually to watch people read their Gene Keys hologenetic profile for the first time when they get it. Because, yeah, just watching their expression, I mean, it's an online tool, but when you start to read and just having your life reflected back at you from such depth is nothing short of profound. So highly recommend, if you're feeling like you'd love to know more about your soul's purpose and journey, do check out the Gene Keys in the link below. We've partnered with them to get you that free access to your hologenetic profile. Links in the description below. It's quite profound to feel into the fact that so many people feel purposeless in a time like now. And when you simply distill it down to health, happiness, and strength, it can seem like it's overly simplified. And yet when you start to just scratch it a little bit deeper, it's actually, if you're not feeling strong in yourself, there's a whole body of work waiting for you to dedicate yourself there. And if you're not feeling happy, well, then there's a whole body of work waiting for you to dedicate yourself there. And if you're not healthy, there's a whole body of work waiting for you to dedicate yourself there. It's interesting, once again, to sort of round up at this juncture where in 21st century living, so much of that is we're often, those, I would almost see those as three central pillars, bringing the human being and the individual back to their center. And yet it seems 21st century living kind of pulls us off our center again and again for, yeah, reasons like we've been discussing in today's podcast. But I think I just wanted to double click on the fact that, yeah, it may seem like it's just health or just happiness or just strength, but actually, if you start to go down each of those paths, there's a whole unlocking in there. Because when you start to think about happiness, even just as one example, it's, people when they start thinking about work and jobs that they're in that they don't really resonate, it's quite clear you're unhappy, you don't feel strong. The litmus test is actually right there. If you can understand these three pillars, right?
Exactly. So it is the first thing I would say to anybody who is listening to this for the first time. Hey guys, it's not complicated. We found the keys. We are just handing them over, and it's only a choice away. And I say, just try it once. If it doesn't work, blame me. But it will work. You will see. I bless your soul, you will bless mine. And together we go way. And then, if it works with you, pass it on. Because it is good shit. What we do is good shit. Yeah, that's who we are, what we are. And it's amazing. The journey is amazing. You are amazing. Get to your amazingness like in a half hour. Just try it out. It takes a half hour.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes below because there's an amazing YouTube video. There's actually two of your breathing techniques which people can try, and they literally go for 10 minutes, and it gives them a very easy access for people to dive in deeper. Wim, for those that want to dive in deeper into the Wim Hof method and understand more about this work, what's a good place for them to start?
First, yeah, just go into the Wim Hof method, into the community. Any question you have. Is it depression? Is it Crohn's disease? Is it arthritis? Is it inflammation in general? Is it lack of energy? Is it whatever you got? Is it too much stress in your life? Go to the community and you will find people's stories, real common sense, strong, beautiful stories of people to make you beautifully on your way back to your being. Amazing. Amazing with life, with energy, with health and strength and sense, common sense, with a deep, deep ingrained purpose. We are just opening up what is encapsulated. That's all we do. We found these techniques and we brought them to science, and apparently they are able to do what in medical science and physiology was considered to be impossible. So try it out through the community, through the website, YouTube films, tutorials. There is so much, and it's all for free.
Yeah,
So
I'll
freedom
put it.
is for free. Get out of your jail.
Yeah. I love that. I'll put links to all of that in the show notes below. Wim, I had one question I wanted to ask you today personally is the dynamic between oxygen and CO2. Because I think so many people come into the science of breathing looking from a lens of oxygen. But when you start to dive in a little bit deeper, it actually is a lot of it actually has to do more with CO2 than it does with oxygen. I'd just love to get your insights into carbon dioxide and its relationship with breathing and why it's actually the more
Yeah,
important marker than oxygen.
we got saturation in the blood. We got saturation in the blood should be between 95 to 100%. Saturation of oxygen in the blood. When we become too stressed, then the body becomes sore, acidic. pH levels go down. Then you need more oxygen. But if we are breathing profound, then the oxygen is not able to make the gas exchange or to make the pH levels go up. what the relationship between oxygen and pH is, and that we should breathe deeper to bring the pH levels within us upward, which is 7.3, 7.4. There, somewhere in the middle, is the perfect pH level for the neurology to flow through our body. And we are able to regulate it by deeper breathing. We not only bring up more oxygen, it's not that, it's that we bring more oxygen in so the pH level goes up. And when you feel good, that is where you should stay and be able to maintain that feeling balance.
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying that. And one other question that I got a lot was, do you breathe? Is it okay to breathe through your mouth? Because I think a lot of people espouse nasal breathing as sort of this holy grail of breathing. But when you come to the Wim Hof method, sometimes it seems it's easier to go deeper when you're breathing all the way in through your mouth. Any recommendations in that space in particular?
Yes, they talk a lot about nasal breathing and mouth breathing and diaphragmatic breathing, breast breathing, the whole holotropic. I don't. People ask me, I just made it a joke. I said, "Hey, babe, doesn't care what kind of hole you use, just get it in." You know, let's not make things complicated. It's like staying in the mind instead of the breath. The breath knows where to go. Just take the time, relax deeply in through the nose, your ears, your ass. It doesn't matter. Just get it in. It knows its way in, and then it knows where there is a lack of oxygen, yes or no. Stop being complicated.
Mm.
Breathe. Go. All in. Go. Hey. Go. How? Doesn't matter.
Wim, another unknown little fact about yourself is, can I ask you, how many languages do you have under your belt? You speak, like, your work has gotten around the world, but also you've gotten around the world a little bit, haven't you?
Yes, yes. About 10 languages. So, if you're open, you don't need to be intelligent. But I think intelligence is related to openness. So that is a different way of looking at it all. If you stay open, then languages come to you. You learn a language in 3 months, 4 months, if you're open. If you keep on talking English when you are in India, how can you learn Hindi? How can you learn Polish when you are in Poland if you talk English? You arrogant bastard. Come on, be open and you learn the language. You learn the beautiful swear words. You will learn about the love in that land, the traditions, the food, the finesse. It all is the product of the soil, of the earth. Respect Mother Earth through language. Be open. And in the end, there is one language which is the best of all, and that's the openness. That is the language of the heart.
Mm.
With that, you will be able, in the end, to receive anybody's emotion and translate it in a laugh.
Wim, sometimes I wonder if I just do the Wim Hof method online just to hear at the end of the Wim Hof method, to hear you say, all the love, all the power. What does
Yeah,
that mean? What does that mean to you? And yeah, if you just
all the
share your
love
insights
and all
on
the
all the
power,
love.
all
Yeah,
the
man.
love, all the love is all the love you have. It's all the love is natural to have. And if you don't have it, get the power to get all the love, to open up completely to a man who is in control of his mind will choose love over hatred, will choose strength over weakness, happiness over sadness, and health over sickness. That is a man who is a master of his mind. And for that, that is power. And the greatest of all powers is love. I wish you to have all the love and all the power.
We had Marianne Williamson on the podcast, and she was also, I think, quoting Nelson Mandela. I might be wrong, but you mentioned him earlier. And one of the things she said as she was running for president, actually, at the time for the United States, Marianne Williamson did a dissertation on A Course in Miracles. And the thing she said actually was quite profound. She said, love power without love is actually corrupt, and we see that in society at large, you know. But when you look at love without power, it's actually anemic, you know, and you need to fill it both up. And I think that's really important for so many of us to hear, that because, you know, we do believe in love, but we also have to power the love that we believe in. And I think there's just such a fondness that I have going into the Wim Hof method, and then to leave, you know, just coming out of that sort of very deep, very meditative state with just that reminder of all the love, all the power, and just how important both are together.
Yes, it is. Love, which is corrupted by power, is no love. That is selfless. I mean, selfish, not selfless. Selfless power is serving and you, but also humanity at the same time. We need a president in the world that is able to bring prosperity back in the families. I think I can run for president. And why? Because I love science. I love science to undiscriminately prove beyond speculation how the mechanisms of happiness, strength, and health are working. And that is love driven to give people the power to become happy, strong, and healthy again, to have a society where people are happy once again. A happy man doesn't go to war. A happy man is not into greed. He is unconditionally there. I think it is time for the soul, for the timeless soul to set in. I think we have reached a possible power of the over the mind and show it through neuroscience that makes us able to control all the brain activity to serve our beautiful emotions, to pass it on. It's there. So yes, a power that hasn't got the love because of corruption. I mean, when corruption comes in, love goes away. It's one or the other. And I think in the end, you know, Amrit, right now, we are almost into publishing in one of the best, no, the best paper of the world.
Mm.
That's Nature, with a big study. And we are getting with that, we have found tools to battle stress better than mindfulness and meditation in the corporate world, and give them a better a cognitive awareness compared to meditation and mindfulness. So this method will get into the corporate world because the corporate world is opportunistic. They want something that works better, gives them an advantage as we live in a competitive world. Now, if that happens, then they will, on that way, using the method, they will find things you cannot buy, but are more wealthy than anything. And that is happiness, strength, and health, unconditionally. We just keep on going
Mm.
until we fulfill our mission. That's
Wim,
where it
what
is.
does
And the mission is power for everybody, and the power is driven through love.
mm. Wim, what does the world look like? Last question. Once everybody comes together, is happier, is healthier, is
Paradise.
stronger. Yeah,
Paradise.
that's your
Paradise.
vision.
Paradise. It was always there. And now we have the neurology to take over the autonomy to direct it to a paradise where our children are able to grow up without fear because the soul is dominantly aware, is there. No need for rules morals, and ethics. The soul is love, and love is the soul. Very simple.
Wim Hof. Brother, thank you so much for this incredible, like sharing your time with us here today. As you can say, you do absolutely what you love and you live and breathe your message and your mission. And thank you so much for carving out the time to be with us here today. And obviously, it'd be very remiss of me to just honor and thank you for your time here today. As you said, your work has touched hundreds and thousands of people's lives. I'm definitely one of them. I remember when you first came to here in Melbourne in Australia over 10 years ago. And it was a workshop and learning how to do the Wim Hof breath with some of my closest friends, completely, you know, just what having the tools in my toolkit has been able to guide me through in life has been very, 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 very helpful. Things I've been able to forgive, things I've been able to find gratitude for, things I've been able to release. So, I mean, yes, thank you for today's conversation, but really, brother, thank you for you, like the work you've put into the world, the way you're championing it. Appreciate you so much. Thank you again.
Thank you. And Amrit, you're doing great work. Thank you for having me on your platform. We keep on going. We are strong, and love and power it is. All the love, all the power.
Inspired soul, you made it through to the end of another episode. Thank you so much for your inspirations to evolve. It is such an honor to be your brother walking this path by your side. I mean, Wim Hof, it is such an honor to have Wim Hof on the podcast. Thank you guys again. And thank you to all of you that are subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for your love, your support. This platform is what it is thanks to all of us together. I appreciate you guys deeply, sincerely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment. It's super easy. You can join the movement. Take a moment to hit the button below. It's the subscribe button. Hit that button. As I'm saying the word subscribe, it's lighting up in the colors of the Inspired Evolution. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notification icon. 2 episodes like this coming out every week to support your inspirations, keep you evolving. And on screen now, to keep your inspirations flowing onwards, upwards, and inwards, keep you evolving, episodes for you to dive in even deeper on your Inspired Evolution journey. So go on, take your pick, make your click, and I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you there.